Monty Clark, coach of the defending NFC Central champion Lions, is feeling the heat so far this season with a 3-7-1 record and the loss of superstar Billy Sims. But Detroit is still 5th in NFL offense with the passing of Gary Danielson, keeping the Lions in nearly every game. Fullback James Jones, the sophomore from Florida, has taken up the slack in the absence of Sims. Bears defensive boss Buddy Ryan, despite a lapse by his squad last week against the Rams, has his troops playing like the old monsters of the Midway. Echoes of the old Rock'em Sock'em Bears have made Chicago the #1 team on defense all season long. And the late George Halas must be smiling with pride at the reckless abandon and constant pressure of the Bears' style. Today, the Bears try to sack the Lions for the season, while Detroit tries to keep its long-shot playoff hopes alive. Live from Soldier Field in Chicago, the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears in an NFC Central matchup. Gray November skies, temperature 39 degrees for the kickoff. Pretty nice afternoon for fall football. Hello, everybody. I'm Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris. And today, of course, Johnny, the Chicago Bears could eliminate the Detroit Lions from the NFC Central Division race with a victory here today. The Bears at 7-4 atop the division. But despite the 3-7-1 record of the Lions, they've played some pretty tough football games, losing 4 of those 7 games by a total of 11 points.
That's right, Tim. You could actually make a case for the Lions, the fact they could be something like 6-5, and it's especially interesting today because the Lions have had great success against the Bears the last 3 years. In fact, they have won 5 of the last 6 games, so record means nothing today.
Well, I know Buddy Ryan's very aware of that. The defensive boss, his team having a bit of a slump last week, a 1-game slump. They're still #1, but they had problems against the Rams.
They certainly did. They had no sacks, and as you know, they had 26 in the previous 2 games before that. They lead the league with 47. They want to be able to stop the Lions' offense, and it will be a tough job. Mike Ditka says this is actually going to be a tough game for the Bears in the respect it's more important for them because he feels that if they let the Lions win and the Packers win today, this might be a dogfight in the NFC Central Division where a victory would wrap it up for him as you look at Buddy Ryan, who is going to go against that 5th-ranked offense of the Lions.
All right, Johnny, interesting development here right in the opening kickoff. The Lions won the toss, elected to kick off so that they could defend to our left, and it'll be Eddie Murray kicking off. Jack Cameron, Dave Dewerson are the deep men for the Bears, and it's a good kickoff by Murray coming down at the 1. Taken by Cameron, number 30, and he gets over the 20, close to the 24. The ball comes loose, but it's out of bounds at that point. And so the Bears will start first down from their own 22-yard line. Angelo King, reserve linebacker, made the tackle. The Bears will have Steve Fuller for the injured Jim McMahon at quarterback. Matt Suey, Walter Payton are the running backs. Willie Galt, Dennis McKinnon. The wide receivers, McKinnon playing with a sore knee. Across the front, Emery Moorhead, the tight end, Covert, Bortz, Hilgenberg, Becker, and Van Horn. A young line that has improved with each outing and now stands as one of the toughest and most aggressive lines in the entire NFL. Fuller with a fine game last week in his first start, 21 of 27 against the Rams. First down. Walter Payton, and he is stuffed right at the line of scrimmage as the Detroit defense, led by William Gay, number 79, makes the hit. They have Doug English and Curtis Green at the tackles. Mike Kofer, William Gay are the ends. The linebackers in the 4-3 are Gary Cobb, Ken Fantetti, and Jimmy Williams. The secondary, Bobby Watkins, Bruce McNorton on the corners. Bill Graham and Alvin Hall are the safeties. A gain of less than a yard. In fact, it looks like it turned out to be a loss of about a half yard. So it will be 2nd and 10.5. Opening series, draw play, Payton. Not much running room, got away from Curtis Green, but was then hauled down by the cornerback, Bruce McNorton, number 29. So 2 good defensive plays by the Detroit Lions. A pickup by Payton of a yard and a half will leave 3rd and about 9.
And here is an interesting statistic. The Bears have scored in their first possession in 8 of their 11 games. And as you know, they have scored a lot in the first half and put teams on the defense, which has helped the Bear defense. So we'll see what the Lions can do against this offense that is #1 in the NFL in rushing, but 26th in passing.
The Lions have sent in Roosevelt Barnes, number 54, and Martin Moss, number 63. 3rd down from the 24-yard line. Out of the shotgun, they give it to Payton. He's got running room. Payton has a first down, tripped up. Finally, out near the 40-yard line by William Graham, number 33. There was some nice blocking on the left side for the Chicago Bears.
Well, a passing situation, and you'll take a look at the hole, is going to go wide open as Keith Van Horn, Mark Bort, 62, throws his block, and Peyton went right up the middle. You get a better look at it here off the passing situation. The Lions on a big rush, and you saw the block by Bortz, Keith Van Horn with good blocks, and Peyton, once you get him in the open field, he's going to get some yards for you. So that's why the Bears lead the league in rushing. They don't always pass on 3rd and 6 or 7.
First down for the Bears. Play action. Fuller has a man open, and he just missed through the ball, intended for Matt Suey, who was open in the flat. So it will be 2nd and 10 for the Chicago Bears. Line of scrimmage at their own 39-yard line.
Interesting thing happened to Fuller on that one. He was trying to throw to the tight end, Pat Dunsmore, downfield, and all of a sudden Bruce McNorton got in the picture, and he decided, hey, I better not throw it. So he just kind of let his arms stop and went for the incomplete pass.
2nd and 10. We mentioned Fuller with a good debut last week. Jim McMahon on injured reserve with his lacerated kidney problem, and in order to stay at home for a couple of weeks before he'll have any activity. And so we say hello to Jim and his family watching this afternoon. Walter Payton going out the right side, and it's strung out very well. Ken Fantetti, number 53, and number 57, pardon me, Fantetti, and Gary Cobb, number 53, making the play as Payton unable to make the turn. There's no gain on the play at all. Keith Van Horn apparently injured on the play, number 78 for the Bears. That'll bring in Andy Frederick on this 3rd down play to replace Van Horn. Van Horn, the 4-year man from USC, their number 1 choice in 1981, having a fine season along with the rest of that line.
Big play for Detroit. As we mentioned, the Bears have been very successful on their first drive. The Lions have the Bears in a 3rd and 10 situation. Let's see how they handle it.
Bears converted 3rd and long on the first series of downs. With the running play to Payton, let's see what they do here. They'll throw. Fuller forced out to the left. He's got some running room, and now finds a man upfield. McKinnon for the first down to the 39-yard line, and he is spun out of bounds by Roosevelt Barnes, number 54. So Fuller delivers again on a 3rd and long.
And Fuller had his choice on this one as he rolled out. Now, this was not a force rollout. You can notice he went right there. He went with the pulling guard, came across here, and had his choice to follow Jimbo Covert, 74, down the field, or to hit Dennis McKinnon. And as Mike Ditka says, don't run the ball unless you have to. He saw McKinnon open, and Dennis McKinnon, playing with a bad knee, made the grab before Barnes brought him out. And the Bears continue this first drive.
Chicago into Lions territory, first down at the 39-yard line. And twice on 3rd and 10 and on 3rd and 9, they picked up the yardage after good defensive work by the Lions. Blitz was on. It looks like an offside as Payton out the right side got about 3 yards. And now here's a little pushing and shoving by the linebacker Jimmy Williams against the Bears offensive guard number 79, Kurt Becker. So the Lions a little rile up at something on that play.
Well, at least that means they're ready to play football, maybe. They tried to time the blitz that time right up the middle and jumped off sides.
Jerry Seaman, the referee today, making the call against the Lions, and that's been a big problem for Detroit all season long.
They're the most penalized team in the National Football League, and the Bears are up there too. So we have 2 teams that get a lot of penalties, so this could be a long football game.
Offside, nose man, defense, still first down.
Well, I got a couple
it really
of
wasn't the nose man. They had 2 noses down there.
Green and English would both have a nose in there as the tackles in the 4-3. However, it appeared to us that it was the linebacker blitzing Williams who was offside. Nonetheless, it's 1st and 5 inside the 35 of Detroit. Opening series of the Chicago offense. Walter Payton hit at the line of scrimmage, and the man to get him was Michael Kofer, outstanding athlete, number 3 pick a year ago from Tennessee. They'll sometimes use him as a linebacker in a 3-4.
Good play by Kofer because he had Kurt Becker pulling out there, and he dodged the block and made the tackle.
Kofer with 73 tackles and 5 sacks coming into the game has been one of the better players on a somewhat inconsistent defensive unit of the Detroit Lions.
That's one of the real mysteries for Monty Clark and Lions and the Lion fans. This is the same defensive team that played so well last year, and they've really been inconsistent in '84.
2nd and 6 from the 35 of Detroit. Suey hit from behind, knocked forward close to first down yardage by Kofer, number 66.
You'll see Kofor come down the line, and he's away from the hole, but he comes from the side and hustles and makes the tackle on Suey. But the way he has to hit him, number 66 at the top of your screen, he really jolts Suey forward and helps him a little bit. And Suey got down there close to the first down, but Michael Kofor is hustling.
They'll need a yard, so the Bears have sent in Dunsmore and Saldi to add some muscle up front.
Now you can see Peyton is out on the flank.
Peyton in motion behind the ball, diving for it is Fuller, and on a second effort, he got the first down as the Lions had a good initial charge led by Doug English, number 78, but Fuller, with a little extra work, got the first down.
And Fantetti was there too, as the Lions anticipated a quarterback sneak. That's what the Bears' tendency has been. But you can see right there, Fantetti, 57, hit Fuller, and Fuller kept his legs going, spun out of it, and got just enough for the first down.
First and 10 at the 28-yard line. This opening drive of the Chicago Bears, and the only team in the league to score in the first quarter, all 11 games, and they have done it frequently on their first series. So while they have not done so well in the second half, putting a little extra pressure on their defense, they've also given their defensive team early leads. Peyton trying the short side. Turned the corner this time, but again, excellent work wide by the defense of the Lions. Bruce McNorton, the cornerback, coming up to fill, number 29, and not letting Peyton turn it upfield.
Do you realize there's already 6 minutes gone in this game? 6 minutes is gone.
This time it's a 2-yard gain for Peyton. Well, they're going to mark it right at the 25-yard line, so it'll be a 3-yard pickup. 2nd and 7 at the 25 of the Detroit Lions. No score, opening series. 9 minutes remaining, first quarter. And keeping the ball has been a Chicago trait through this entire season. They've outpossessed everybody in every game. Peyton is stopped behind the line, as they've really had Peyton's number, the Lions have, with the exception of the 1 3rd and 9 play. Gary Cobb, number 53, made the stop on him that time. So the number 1 rushing team in the NFC, the Chicago Bears, and indeed in the entire NFL, having their problems in moving against the Lions, and yet they are slowly working their way downfield at the 27-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 9. Mike Ditka and his staff looking on from the sideline. They need another 3rd down play to keep the drive alive. Fuller. Pressure from the Lions. He eludes that. Fuller to the 1-yard line. Nearly got into the end zone. And for a quarterback with bad knees, he showed some speed of foot.
He certainly did. Steve Fuller, who has 2 bad knees. He has a bad shoulder. He's wearing a flak jacket, which adds a little bit of weight. As he sized up the rush, came up the middle, faked the pass there that held everybody just for a second. Now, he has good speed for a quarterback. He turned it on and got through a bunch of Lions and then took his punishment right there down to the 1-yard line. The Bears in good shape.
Bears fans have to be holding their breath, and perhaps Jim McMahon looking in from home today, holding his breath, saying, "Hey, Steve, you look like me, but don't get hurt." He's at the 1-yard line, 1st and goal. Moorhead in motion behind the ball. Peyton, and he is stopped. He got up, but not over. Fantetti and number 58, reserve linebacker Steve Doig, in on the goal line defense, combining to catch Peyton in midair.
Okay, Peyton flew as he usually does down this close, but he had to take off from quite a ways back. See, about 3 yards back, and he couldn't quite fly over those Detroit Lions, as a whole bunch of them there were waiting for him. So it is a 2nd down situation. 6:41 left in the first quarter. This drive is almost going to eat up the entire first quarter.
Calvin Thomas in for Matt Suey at fullback for the Chicago Bears, number 33. Thomas. 2nd and goal. Thomas stopped at the line and pushed back as the Lions rise up again. Curtis Green and Steve Doig combining to stop Thomas. They tried to get off tackle left. So the Bears, Johnny, have not been able to do much in the short yardage situations. They've had 3 third down conversions that have been big gainers.
Well, that was the key to the drive here. You see Curtis Green and the Lions come up here to stop Calvin Thomas, who was really headed for that goal line.
3rd and goal. Suey is back in. The lead back in the I formation. Monty Clark saying, defense, you can do it. Peyton. Stopped again. Second effort, but the Lions had a second effort. William Graham, number 33. Green made the initial contact on him. And then Martin Moss and Steve Doig with Graham would not let him go any farther.
And he actually lost about a yard on that play, so it's about 4th and 1.5. So it's not a gimme or a quarterback sneak situation. Mike Ditka is going to go for it, and obviously his thinking is that if he doesn't make it, at least he'll have the Lions down on the 1-yard line. As Monty Clark looks on, he's got to be happy with the way the defense has responded right down here on the goal line. Let's see what the Bears do. 1.5 yards to go.
Well, a defense that has had its problems, really showing some stuff here. Let's see what happens. Fuller rolls out. He has a man open. Touchdown. It is Pat Dunsmore who had to make a good catch because Fuller made a very low pass with Dunsmore wide open, but the Bears are on the board.
Okay, the Bears probably did the best thing. They weren't going to gain 1.5 yards up the middle, so Fuller rolls out, and Dunsmore was so open that he almost underthrew him. He probably could have run into the end zone, but Pat Dunsmore out of Drake University makes the grab, and the Bears are on the board. As we look at again, there's the fake to Calvin Thomas, which held him for just a second, and Steve Fuller gets to the outside, and there's Dunsmore. Easy pickings for Dunsmore as long as he keeps his eyes on the football.
Bob Thomas will attempt the point after. And it is good. And so the Chicago Bears, using up nearly 10 minutes, a little more than 10 minutes, in this first period of play, have taken the lead 7-0 over the Lions. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris and Mike Ditka with a sigh of relief, I'm sure, when they took it into the end zone. Fuller to Dunsmore on 4th down. After an inspired goal line defense by the Lions that ultimately failed. 10-12 used up on the clock on the Bears' opening series. Now remember, Detroit elected to kick off. They won the toss, elected to kick off, and wound up surrendering the touchdown. Thomas will kick it off for the Bears. Short kickoff comes down at the 16-yard line. Alvin Hall, and there's a flag on the play as he took quite a tough hit coming down at the 28-yard line of Detroit. Brian Cabral, number 54, on the tackle, and Hall getting up slowly, and a flag on the play. Monty Clark and his staff in their slick silver jackets. That's Bill Nelson on the right, the quarterback boss.
Well, Monty Clark has taken a lot of flack in Detroit from the fans and the press. People were expecting a lot better than 3-7-1 at this point. And I was talking to Monty last night. He says, he said, my...
Illegal block. Number 21, receiving team, during the return, first down.
He said, my offense is 3rd in the NFC. I feel I'm a good coach. And he said, whatever comes, comes, but I have nothing to hang my head about. And he kind of sticking up to all the criticism.
We'll be right back here at Soldier Field. An illegal block by Demetrius Johnson of the Lions backed them up to the 17-yard line, where it will be first down and their first offensive series. Dave Daddio in motion, flag on the play. The Lions came out with Dave Daddio, the rookie from Maryland, and James Jones, number 30, the second-year man from Florida, as the running back combination. Dave Seaman, the referee.
False start prior to the snap. Number 72, offense.
Chris Dietrich charged with a false start, the 5-year man from North Carolina State. As we see the Lions offensively for the first time, Gary Danielson, the quarterback, Daddio and Jones, Leonard Thompson and Jeff Chadwick are the wide receivers, Rob Rubik, the tight end, Laster, Dietrich, Lee, Greco, and Dorney, the front line, as injuries have been a real problem there for Detroit, and yet they've played well offensively. Pitch out to Jones, a block from Daddio, but it is shut down at the 15-yard line by Mike Singletary, the linebacker, number 50. Defensively for the Chicago Bears, Dan Hampton returns to the lineup, Johnny, to join McMichael, Hartenstein, and Dent. He missed the game last week against the Rams. Wilson, Singletary, and Harris, the linebackers. Richardson, Bell, Fensick, and Sean Gale for the injured Leslie Frazier. And there's big number 99, and they missed him last week. I don't care what Buddy Ryan or anybody else says.
Well, he has a hyperextended elbow, and you're right, most teams have to double team him, and he gets penetration, causes all kinds of mess ups, and Tyrone Keys did a good job, but Dan Hampton is an all-pro.
Two tight ends in for the Lions, Rubick and Reese McCall. Play action and a sack by Richard Dent. Number 95 drops Danielson on his first passing try, backing the Lions up to the 10-yard line, a loss of 5.
He just simply outran Laster. 73 is over to the right of your screen. You see him, he just gets around him and puts the clamps on Danielson before he can even get started. That's 13 sacks now for Richard Dent, who had 5 in one game a couple of weeks ago. Richard Dent.
He leads the NFC in that department.
I think he's second only in the NFL to...
Body by Gastineau.
Yeah, Body by Gastineau.
That's coming up at halftime on the NFL Today. Third down from the 10-yard line. 3rd and 18. And a mix-up on the exchange. Bears came up with the ball, but I believe the whistle had been blown before Richard Dent claimed the loose ball.
There was a 30-second delay prior to the snap.
So the Lions used up all of the 30-second clock. A delay of game penalty now as the Detroit offense going backwards on their opening series.
Well, their penchant for penalties has developed again, as you see the signals being sent in
Still
to Gary
third down.
Danielson. It's a third down situation, long yardage, and this is where the Bears are at their strongest. This is their strength.
3rd and 23 for the Lions. They picked up 4 penalties already for 20 yards. Out of the shotgun at the goal line, into the end zone goes Danielson. Short pass to Jones. Jones running hard upfield and forced out of bounds at the 17-yard line by Mike Richardson. Well short of the first down yardage, and Detroit will have to punt. So the Lions, who have lost starters Rich Strenger and Steve Mott at left tackle and center, and Amos Fowler hurt. They've got Larry Lee going at the center spot. Have only Dietrich, Greco, and Dorney among their regulars along the offensive line. And nonetheless, as we pointed out, are number 5 in NFL offense. But on that series, the Detroit Lions just went backwards. Mike Black into punt. Jeff Fisher is the punt return man for the Bears, standing at his 40-yard line.
He's kicking with a strong wind behind him.
Bears showing rush on the punt. Black gets it away. It's not a good punt. Comes down at the 48 of Chicago. Fisher is dropped with a beautiful open field tackle by Steve Doig, number 58, who made a great stop on Fisher at midfield. We'll be back to Soldier Field in Chicago. 2:59 to play. Bears in front 7-0.
This is the definitive book on...
We are back at Soldier Field with this reminder. Thanksgiving Day, these Detroit Lions on Thursday will be back in action at home, renewing one of the great Thanksgiving Day rivalries against the Green Bay Packers. The last time they played them on Thanksgiving was 1963, so that's a great old rivalry renewed on Turkey Day, 12 o'clock Eastern Time on CBS Sports. Peyton and Thomas for the Chicago Bears, first down at midfield. The give is to Peyton. He dropped the ball and I believe recovered it, but he took a real good shot from William Gay, number 79. And fortunately for Peyton, the ball popped right back into his path, and he was able to maintain possession. Winds up with a gain of 3.
Doug English was in there too. Watch 79 and 78. William Gay and Doug English, as they make the penetration, they get by Bortz, and you can see English comes from one side and William Gay from the other side. And I think it was more English that really forced the fumble, as Peyton never really had control. It was good penetration by the Detroit defensive line. They got across that line of scrimmage in a big hurry.
Doug English, the 9-year man from Texas, number 2 pick in 75, for the top tackles in the entire league, not having one of his great seasons. Here's Thomas with running room. Kelvin Thomas in a foot race. Bruce McNorton catches him at the 11-yard line of Detroit. Third-year man from Illinois, Calvin Thomas, getting more playing time each week.
Jimbo Covert and Walter Payton on the good blocking there as Calvin dipped to the outside and then turned on the speed, and pretty good speed for a fullback, number 33 out of Illinois, as he puts the Bears deep down in Detroit territory.
24-year-old Calvin Thomas, 5'11", 220-pounder, a free agent out of the University of Illinois in 1982, has played behind Matt Suey since coming to the Bears, but this year getting more and more playing time. First down from the 11-yard line. Chicago Bears, who got possession at midfield on the short punt by Black. This is Payton. And Payton is stopped after a gain of 3, and it's Ken Fantetti, number 57, Mike Kofer, number 66 for the Lions.
Well, let's look at some scores around the National Football League. Philadelphia has an early lead over Washington, 3-0 in the first quarter.
Field goal by Paul McFadden, and a field goal there has the Rams in front of Green Bay. Mike Lansford's field goal, 21 yards out, and look at this. Buffalo in front of Dallas, 7-0 at home. And Atlanta leading Cleveland 7-0. Well, of course, that Rams-Green Bay game important to both of those teams. The Packers 4-7 in the NFC Central, tied with Tampa Bay. Payton dives close to the 5-yard line, but again, the Lions close up that middle on Payton. Curtis Green, number 62, the four-year man from Alabama State, leading the charge, and the linebacker Gary Cobb, number 53, and Fantetti, number 57, is usually around the ball.
Ken Fantetti just signed a new contract. He'd been playing without a contract throughout most of the season, so that's probably takes a little, what do you call it, a problem off your mind and concentrate on football?
He's such an intense competitor that single-minded, I suppose, is the best way to put it. So I'm sure that if he's not thinking about money, he's only thinking about football. Third down. They need to get to the 1 for a first down. They're at the 5 of Detroit. Fuller to throw. Off to Calvin Thomas, and he is met right at the line of scrimmage by William Graham, the safety, number 33, who read that play all the way. William Graham, the third-year man from Texas. A very aggressive, strong safety for the Lions.
You know, sometimes he's a little bit too aggressive. He gets a penalty now and then, but this was a super play as they just dumped Calvin Thomas, 33, out into the flat, and you'll see Graham come up on the tackle. So we have a situation where it's 33 against 33, and the 33 in the white jersey won that battle. Good play by Graham.
So field goal time for the Chicago Bears. Bob Thomas comes in. Bashnagel will hold. And a bit of a mix-up here. They may be short a man. Do a quick count there. They are signaling over to the sideline, and now there's a long delay here. They may use up the clock and make sure they get enough blockers and let Thomas have another shot. That's going to bring the clock down to the end of the first quarter. So they'll turn around and kick the other way. That's what they were about, as they will have the win with them. Some clever thinking on the Bears bench. At the end of the first quarter, 7-0 Chicago. Ryan and Johnny Morris back at Soldier Field in Chicago, and happy Bears fans enjoying the first quarter action. Look at the Chicago Bears time of possession, 13 minutes and 11 seconds, a 7-0 lead, and they are about to try for a field goal here to open the second period, having let time expire. And now Thomas will have the win with him here. The ball will be spotted at the 19-yard line, so it will be a 29-yard, make it the 14-yard line, a 24-yard try for Bob Thomas. And he has it. 24-yard field goal by Bob Thomas as the Bears lengthen their early lead to 10-0 over the Detroit Lions, as we have just begun play in the second quarter in Chicago. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back in Chicago, and we are just underway in the second period, where Bob Thomas will be kicking it off. The Bears going 43 yards in 6 plays, using up 3:03, and the deep men for the Lions awaiting the kickoff. Manley and Hall, taken by Alvin Hall. Hall has a hole up the middle, turns it on, and is cut from behind. Anthony Hutchison making the tackle, number 32, but a good return by Alvin Hall to the 34-yard line. So the Lions get good field position for the first time in the football game. They have the ball now on a first down at their own 32-yard line.
Actually, it's only their second possession. They
That's
haven't
right.
had the ball much on offense. Gary Danielson's going to have his hands full. because they're down 10-0, and the Bear defense, as most defenses, are much more effective when you get up like that. They do a lot of things with their fancy defenses.
Leonard Thompson is wide left. In motion comes the tight end McCall. They go to Daddio inside, and Daddio bulls his way for a handy gain of about 7 yards to the 39-yard line. And Dave Daddio, stopped by Bell and Wilson, is a rookie out of Maryland. Their number 6 choice, 1984, and a big guy, 6'2", 229. What did Monty Clark call him? A throwback.
That's right. He says throwback the old days when he used to play. But no doubt the Lions have their elephant backfield, big backfield in there now. They're going this direction.
Sid Daddio is big, strong, a lot of desire, not real fast, but gives you that kind of effort you just saw. 2nd and 3. Daddio, and now they give it to James Jones. Jones close to the first down. James Jones has been the lead pony for the Lions with the loss of Billy Sims. 381 yards rushing, 54 catches. That's 3rd best in the National Conference. Singletary 50, Wilson 55. Made the tackle after a 3-yard pickup. 3rd down and 1 from the 41 of Detroit.
We have a few scores. Look at Seattle has jumped out on top of Cincinnati, 7-0 in the 2nd quarter. And Atlanta Cleveland now tied in the 1st quarter.
3rd and a yard. McCall in motion behind the ball. Jones has the first down and bursts through for a gain of about 8. James Jones out near the midfield stripe where Mike Richardson pulled him down. Bears were all stacked in the short yardage situation. Jones got a good hole from the front line of the Lions and moved it all the way to the 48 is where they spot it.
Monty Clark told us that the way you attack the Bear defense is, he says, so many teams try to adjust and call audibles and do this and that to counter some of these different defenses. He said the way we played is we cut our game plan down, our selection of plays, and try and run fewer plays from a variety of formations.
Double tight ends at the moment. McCall in motion. This is Jones, shakes 1 tackle and gains about 4 yards. So the Lions now able to move it, starting from a little better real estate on this drive. Steve McMichael, 76. Mike Hartenstein, 73. Made the stop for the Bears after another 3-yard pickup.
It's 143 straight starts for Mike Hartenstein out of Penn State. Has been probably the steadiest defensive lineman the Bears have had over the years. He's always comes to play, never misses a game. Plays one side and then plays the other depending on the defense.
2nd down and 7 for the Lions in Bear territory for the first time at the 49. Jones again off tackle left. Got only a couple before he was met by Dan Hampton, number 99. Hampton has a hyperextended elbow. You see the pad on that left elbow, a very painful injury. Richard Dent fell on him a couple of weeks ago. He tried to play against the Rams last week and had to come out immediately. A tough guy to keep out of the lineup. And as we said earlier, he was a missed man in the Bears defense against Los Angeles a week ago.
He's had a pretty good career for a guy who, when he was a boy, fell out of a tree and broke his arm and both legs in one fell swoop. He recovered pretty well, I think.
Yes, he sure has. Terry Schmidt into the secondary on the passing down for the Lions. And Gary Danielson having to line up his backs here, a little mix-up on the play. And now he goes to Leonard Thompson, who's caught it. What a catch by Thompson, a one-hander, and a first down at the 15. Johnny, did it appear that Danielson changed the play there at the last instant, and that's why he called Ken Jenkins back into a blocking formation?
Well, he saw something. He had to make an adjustment. He saw them coming, and there was a blitz on. He just threw the ball up. He saw Terry Schmidt covering Thompson. Thompson reached out with one hand and brought it in, a super play. And Thompson is the guy who has come up with big plays against the Bears over the years.
What a job and what a pass by Danielson. Thompson with a one-handed grab, the 32-year-old veteran from Oklahoma State. And so the Lions strike quickly down to the 14-yard line of Chicago, trailing 10-0. Sean Gale comes out. Wilbur Marshall, the linebacker, 58, replaces him on first down inside the Bears 15. They give it to Jones. He's cut from behind by Otis Wilson. The linebacker, number 55, came quickly down the line, made a diving grab of Jones, and there'll be little, if any, gain on the play.
Well, there was a mistake by Daddio on that play. He ran right by Wilson, and he's probably kicking himself right in the face as watch the lead back. 55 will come across the line of scrimmage, and 44, Daddio just lets him go by. He doesn't keep his eyes open. He's got to hit that first dark jersey that comes across, and that forced Jones to cut a different way, and Otis Wilson made the tackle. So a mental mistake hurts the Lions.
Sean Gale comes back in. Marshall comes out. Gale playing for the injured Leslie Frazier on the right corner for Chicago. He is number 23. Play action. Rolling left is Danielson. It's for Rubik, and Rubik makes a great grab at the 2-yard line.
Boy,
Rob Rubik.
Whew, that ball was right on the numbers. Rubik was covered.
Al Harris had him covered as well as you can cover.
Nice faking here by Danielson. Watch this. After he fakes, he just kind of rolls over easily. And now you see Rubik 84 is on the fly. Here comes Al Harris, 90 covering, and the ball was right there as Rubik made a nice grab, just like he did a couple of times last week. Rob Rubik coming on strong.
The ball at the 1-yard line. First and goal for the Lions. Rob Rubik, the third-year tight end from Grand Valley State up in Michigan. 3 tight ends are in now. The rookie David Lewis, number 87, is in the lineup, and Jones blasts into the end zone. Touchdown. So the Detroit Lions, with a big bomb from Danielson to Thompson setting it up, are on the scoreboard with 9:40 to play first half.
Okay, James Jones with some second effort there as pretty good blocking by the line. Now Fensick hits him 45, but Jones just squirts right out of his grasp and goes into the end zone, and the Lions show a lot of character coming right back down the field after being down 10-0.
Now their first offensive series, they went backwards with penalties and a Bears sack. Had to punt the ball at midfield. The Bears went from there for a field goal from midfield. And the Lions on their second possession have a scoring drive. Eddie Murray for the point after. And he's got it. So the Lions close to within 3, 9:40 to play in the first half. The score, the Chicago Bears 10, the Detroit Lions 7. You're looking at Soldier Field in Chicago, where the Bears lead 10-7 after the Detroit score on the touchdown by James Jones, set up by a 35-yard touchdown, or bomb rather, from Danielson to Thompson, setting up the score. The Lions, 5 days from now, are at home to the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving Day. You'll see it here on CBS, and then Friday, the Boston College Eagles and the Miami Hurricanes. Bernie Kosar, Doug Flutie, the quarterbacks in that one, live at 2:30 Eastern Time. College basketball on Saturday, the Cardinals of Louisville, the Hoosiers of Indiana, live at 1 o'clock Eastern Time.
Well, we got a schedule going.
And then you'll see the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Trojans of USC at 3:30 Eastern Time. That should be quite an entertaining few days of sports.
Is that all on CBS?
That's all on CBS. You guessed it. We're not promoting the other networks today. There is Jack Cameron bringing it up to the 27-yard line for the Chicago Bears, who will start from their first and 10. I'm looking forward to watching Kosar against Flutie. That should be really an exciting college football game.
Well, we have something going right here. We got Gary Danielson 3 for 3 and Steve Fuller 3 for 4. So the quarterbacks have been doing fairly well.
Bears will start from their 27-yard line when we return, with Steve Fuller coming over to consult with his coach, Mike Ditka. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris, we're back for football here at the 27-yard line of the Chicago Bears, working from left to right in their home dark uniforms. And they lead 10-7 as the Lions bounce back from a 10-0 deficit with a James Jones touchdown. Suey and Peyton, the running backs. Play action. Fuller going deep for Willie Gault, and it's just overthrown. On the coverage, Bruce McNorton, number 29, showing he's got some speed, staying with the world-class sprinter. And Fuller was not far off the mark, but unhappy that he wasn't on it.
The one thing that answered questions for Chicago Bear fans was, can Steve Fuller throw the ball long? He's had the bad shoulder. He separated earlier in the season, and he threw that ball about 55, 60 yards in the air, so he can throw long, and the Lions now know it, even though it was an incomplete pass. Steve Fuller, who really hasn't played in the last 2 years until last week, and did very well. The Bears are in a precarious position at quarterback. They only have 2. Rusty Lish is a backup with McMahon out. Walter Payton would be the third emergency quarterback, and he worked out as T-formation quarterback and a tailback this week in case of an emergency.
Well, that'll be fun to see for all the fans. 2nd and 10. Mike Ditka, of course, hopes he doesn't have to get to that. This is Walter Payton, and Payton picks up about 4 over the 30 to the 31, where Gary Cobb put the stop on him, bringing up 3rd down and 6 from the 31-yard line of Chicago. Moorhead comes in with a play for Fuller. Dunsmore goes out.
You know, if the Lions lose this game, how long has it been since they would enter a Thanksgiving Day game without having any kind of chance to win? I mean, they've,
in terms of playoff contention.
Yeah, in terms of playoff situation.
Well, I'm sure that's not something they want to contemplate. Playing 2 games in 5 days is tall enough order. It'd be nice to go in with a win against their old Thanksgiving Day rivals, the Packers. 3rd down play for the Bears, and Fuller is going to be sacked. And he's dropped by Mike Kofer with Doug English right behind him. So the Lions rise up defensively. Now that's what you look to see happen if you're a Lions fan. They scored, and then they stopped the Bears on the next offensive series for Chicago. And they'll have the ball in pretty good field position following the punt.
And they did it in the spectacular way with a sack. They came up with a lot of sacks against the Redskins last week, especially in the second half, and looked like a real good defense. They just had problems putting 2 halves together.
5 sacks against the Redskins. Pete Manley, the rookie wide receiver, is back to receive the punt from Dave Finzer. Finzer will hit it from the 15 of Chicago. It's a high punt. Fair catch signaled and caught at the 35-yard line. So, as we said, the Lions, for the 2nd consecutive series now, will have good field position, trailing only by 3 with 8:09 to play in the first half. Soldier Field in Chicago. The Lions first down from their own 36-yard line. They trail 10-7. Gary Danielson, the quarterback, connected on a 35-yarder to Leonard Thompson, setting up their first score. On first down, it's James Jones. Jones plows to the 40-yard line. A pickup of 4 yards on the play will leave 2nd and 6. Steve McMichael and Mike Singletary, 76 and 50, made the tackle for Chicago.
Danielson is 3 for 3 now for Detroit. You talk about a quarterback playing under stress. You all know some of the comments that were published a couple of weeks ago, and whatever was said and what was accurate and what was taken out of context, it really makes no difference right now, but it's caused Danielson to be under a lot of pressure aside from playing football.
Well, and 3-7-1 in the team record as the starting quarterback, still the main thing to deal with. That's intended for Nichols, off the hand and incomplete. Richardson had the coverage, number 27. Mark Nichols, number 86, 4-year man out of San Jose State.
Danielson went 155 straight attempts early in the season without an interception. The interceptions have caught up to him a little bit in the past few games, but he hasn't played all that badly, in my
his
opinion.
numbers still pretty good. He's passing at 60%, a little over that, 12 touchdown passes. Does have 11 interceptions. Duerson and Schmidt have come in to make a 6-man defensive backfield. 3rd down, all kinds of action by the Bears. They try to get it to Thompson as the blitz was on. Duerson had the coverage, and it's incomplete. Thompson saying that was interference, but he's not getting any sympathy from the striped-shirted officials, and it'll be 4th down.
He claims that he was jammed while the pass was in the air. The jam area where he was jammed by Duerson was not too far downfield. You can jam a guy up
Within
to 5 yards.
I believe it was just right at about the 5-yard mark.
His claim was that you can't do it once that ball is thrown.
Yeah, well, they saw it in a different way than Leonard Thompson's interpretation, so the Lions will have to punt. The Bears have stopped the Detroit team on this drive. Black will punt it, and a line drive punt nearly blocked by Gentry, and it's taken by Fisher, coming way cross field, and never got to turn it upfield as the Lions shut him down at the 23-yard line. Steve Doig, who has been a terror on special teams today, number 58. 7:10 remaining in the first half. The Bears have the football and the lead, 10-7. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back here in Chicago, where the Bears have the football, first down at their own 24-yard line. This telecast presented by the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Chicago Bears and the National Football League is prohibited. I don't think you have to have written consent from every member of the Chicago Bears, but somebody representing them, I suppose. First down here for Chicago. Payton behind Thomas, and Payton barrels his way through a defender. That's Jimmy Williams, number 59, 230-pound linebacker, feeling the strength of Walter Payton. Gain of 8 yards on the play.
And there are his career stats against the Detroit Lions, a 4.1 average. He had 1,172 yards this season going in. So he's had another great year, his 10th year in the National Football League, piling up record after record. Jimmy Brown's record is long gone and left in the dust.
Peyton so far this season alone has broken 3 NFL marks: career rushing, most career 100-yard games, and career combined totals. This is Calvin Thomas, and he has the first down. Over the 35, dropped by William Gay, number 79. And let's check in with Brent Musburger at our studios in New York and find out what else is going on around the NFL.
Well, Tim, we've got this story developing in Giants Stadium. Neil Lomax, the Cardinal quarterback, calls for the fullback in, keeps the ball himself, bootlegs in for an easy touchdown. It's 7-0 Cardinals over the Giants. Back to Tim.
Neil Lomax, always a dangerous runner, showing some style there as St. Louis tied with the Giants at 6-5 in the NFC East in a very important game for both teams. First down, Chicago from their own 35. They give us to Thomas in a little reverse action. Thomas takes it outside, and Thomas, hard running, picks up 7, maybe 8 on the play. Jimmy Williams, number 59, made the tackle on that little misdirection with help from Alvin Hall.
And Calvin Thomas kept his eyes open because you're going to see penetration by William Gay, 79. He gets so deep in the backfield that Thomas, as Kurt Becker, number 79, throws the block. Calvin Thomas dipped inside, then followed Keith Van Horn around, got to the outside, wound up getting some yards before Jimmy Williams is in on the tackle.
Second down and about 1.5 yards, so it was close to a 9-yard pickup for Calvin Thomas. The ball at the Bears' 43-yard line. Walter Payton, first down, breaks a tackle and gets close to the 45 of Detroit. And Payton flips off a tackler, William Graham. And what might be a very infrequent hostile word from the man they call Sweetness. Graham, known for his tough hitting. Alvin Hall, number 35, was there. This guy can always say he was pitched by Walter Payton.
Okay, let's take a look here as Fantetti got jammed up in the tackle. He goes right over Fantetti, 57. And then here comes a whole bunch of Lions. And let's watch Graham on the hit. I didn't see anything, just good hard footballs, all I saw, except he just wanted to ride piggyback for a while.
First down, Chicago. Fuller wants to throw. Fuller for Payton, and he hangs onto the ball. Walter Payton, with Fantetti and Cobb on the coverage, held onto the football for a gain of 8. And the Bears are marching again inside the 40 of Detroit.
Well, here's a situation where Steve Fuller is keeping his eyes open. As you can see, the play action pass to Payton, 34. He sneaks out. Then Fuller goes out of the pocket. Payton goes the same way as Fuller. Fuller could have run, but no, he passes. Now, would Jim McMahon, the Bear quarterback, have passed or run? He likes to run a lot more.
Well, the similarity so far is the good movement of foot by Fuller, much like the injured McMahon. 2nd and 2. This is Payton, and the Lions, with a good stop there, will perhaps have stopped him short of the first down. It appears they have, bringing up 3rd. And it was Doug English and William Gay putting the muscle on Walter Payton. 3rd down and 1 yard. Ball is at the 38-yard line of
Mike Ditka is calling the time. Well, he said, no, forget about it. Fuller's over now. Steve Fuller calls a timeout. Charge that one to Mike Ditka.
Okay, 3:30 remaining. First half, Chicago with the football in the lead, 10-7. Chicago Bears are 4 of 7 on 3rd down. They've got a little shorter one here, having made 3 3rd and 9s and 10s earlier in the football game. They've got a 3rd and 1 here.
They've shown a penchant lately to do a quarterback sneak in this situation. Let's see what they do this time.
Eddie Lee Ivory has scored for Green Bay as the Packers take the lead over the Rams 7-3. Suey with a good hole and still going inside the 30. First down, Chicago. McNorton and Graham finally stop him. One of the significant stats by the Lions is that Graham and Alvin Hall, the 2 safeties, are their leading tacklers.
And watch the right side of the Bear line. 79, Kurt Becker blocks down, and Keith Van Horn, 78, just caved that left side of the Lion defensive line, and Suey got through, and it took 2 defensive backs to bring him down. He almost broke it. Graham finally makes sure he doesn't go anywhere, but it's a first down for Chicago.
Well, the Lions had been stopping the Bears' run earlier on, but now they're having difficulty. First down at the 30-yard line. Wide left is Galt. Wide right, McKinnon. Fuller on first down. Intended for McKinnon, and not a good throw by Fuller, and they had good pressure on him from Jimmy Williams.
Boy, did he hit Fuller from the backside. Fuller never saw him coming on the blitz and was lucky to get the ball off. Williams is quick once he decides he's going to go, and nobody was there to block him. He says, look, Ma, I got a quarterback inside, and he really put a pop on him.
Coming up at halftime, scores and highlights with Brendan Irv and Body by Gastineau. Don't miss that one, ladies. If you're into football bodies, that's Mark Gastineau of the Jets. And that should be really interesting stuff. 2nd and 10 from the 30-yard line. Fuller dancing around, is away from one man and still will be sacked. So the Lions persistently pursue Fuller and drop him for a loss of 5 to the 35, bringing up 3rd and 15, and it was Gay who finally hauled him down. Fuller got away from one Lion defender.
Okay, you can see William Gay is 79. Doug Lingus is 78 as Gay goes out of the play. Good block by Covert. Now, Fantetti had him by the shirt, couldn't quite bring him down, but he did enough to throw him off stride, and there were too many Lions hustling and pursuing, gang tackling. So it's plays like that that give you an indication that the defense, even though they're behind, the guys are still trying. They're in there hitting. They're hustling. They're not giving up.
Coming down to the 2-minute mark on 3rd and 15. Fuller for McKinnon. Inside the 10. Alvin Hall made the tackle. Fuller again on 3rd and long comes up with a big pass play.
Perhaps Fuller's best play of the game so far as he goes immediately out of the pocket, not forced out, just goes out on the run with a couple of linemen out in front. There's Payton also blocking, and then on the run he threw a rope to Dennis McKinnon down to the sideline. Another key 3rd down play for the Bears, and that's where the Lions are hurting on the 3rd down situations.
Well, we reached the 2-minute warning, 1:56 officially on the clock, and the Chicago Bears knocking on the door at the 8-yard line of the Detroit Lions, leading 10-7. And the big play, a 27-yard pass from Fuller to Dennis McKinnon on 3rd and 15. Well, Steve Fuller so far has shown that he is not only a good backup quarterback, but he's playing very much like a starter. And the Chicago Bears, with a chance to eliminate Detroit today with a victory, are happy to see that Fuller can do so well for the ailing Jim McMahon. And a timeout called by Fuller. Didn't like something he saw on 1st down, and comes over in a hurry to consult with Coach Ditka and the offensive staff of the Chicago Bears. The Bears have one timeout remaining. Lions have not used any.
And this is one win that Mike Ditka would like to have because, as we said at the top of the telecast, he feels this is just as important or more important for the Bears and the Lions because of the fact that he doesn't want to let anybody back in the race, namely the Packers, who are beating the Rams right now. But he hasn't had much success against the Lions. Ditka's
also in the 2nd quarter
lost most of the games against Detroit.
Indianapolis 0.
Well, we see Washington 7-3 over Philadelphia. And that game, of course, Washington tied with Dallas atop the NFC East.
Look at Seattle, 14-3 over 2nd quarter. Cleveland 13-10 over Atlanta in the 2nd quarter.
13-7.
13-7, I'm sorry. Can't read too much.
Next Sunday, our doubleheader action will have the NFL Today starting the day off, and then you'll see Philadelphia at St. Louis or the Rams at Tampa Bay. 2 important games, followed by our doubleheader tilt, the Chicago Bears at Minnesota, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central. Doubleheader action next week on CBS. First and goal. Fuller ran into a blocker, now gets loose into the end zone for Saldi, overthrew everybody. Saldi and Payton both in the same area. Payton made a diving try for the catch, but the ball was thrown out of the end zone.
Good
Second and goal.
Good blocking by Jimbo Covert on William Gay, who stayed with his block to allow Fuller to get outside. And because the Lions had shifted their line at the last second and had fooled the Bears on their defensive alignment, and had the rush came from that right side.
Walter Payton out on the pass pattern on that play has 47 yards rushing here in the first half with 1:49 remaining. Calvin Thomas, his teammate, has 50. New England in front of Indianapolis 16-7 in the second period. That's Moorhead in motion for Chicago. Payton going back the other way. Payton cuts it upfield, and again they shut him down.
And the reason they shut him down there was the last second adjustment by the Lions. Did you notice them shift from the even to the odd defense, and they shifted to the side where Payton ran the ball. Now, I don't know if we'll get a chance to see it. Well, they'd already made their shift, and you can see more white jerseys over there than the Bears can block, and they just shifted right in to the strength of that play for the Chicago Bears. So
very mobile Michael Kofer, second-year man from Tennessee, made the stop. Gain of about a half yard. It is third and goal. So more defensive shifting by the Lions. Fuller, straight drop. In the pocket, under pressure, and he is going to be sacked. William Gay. The Lions very persistently put the pressure on, and most importantly, had good coverage in the end zone. Fuller had nowhere to go. The Lions do the job defensively and bring up fourth down.
They certainly did. Good coverage down the field. That was an important point, as you're going to see Fuller go back. He almost started to run up forward in the pocket, and you're going to see William Gay grab him. Kofer was there, 66-79, and good hustle by the defensive line of the Lions. They stopped the Bears, prevent the touchdown. Now they go for the field goal. As Bob Thomas, who played for the Lions a couple of years ago, remember when Eddie Murray was on his holdout, contract holdout, Thomas came over there briefly, kicked very well, eventually was picked up back by the Bears in what Mike Ditka called a mistake when he let him go, and he got him back.
Lions have called a timeout as they have picked up their third sack, forcing this Bear fourth down. Let's see what happens when we return. Tim Ryan and Johnny Moritz with 1:01 remaining first half. Bob Thomas for the Bears will spot the ball at the 19-yard line. Dashnagel holding, and it'll be a 29-yard field goal try by Thomas, who has one from 24. That was a fake, and it was not exactly a smooth one, and it's incomplete, and so the Lions, with Cabral, the apparent intended receiver, the Lions had no problem at all stuffing that fake field goal and will take over the ball, and the Bears come up empty on the play.
Was that a fake field goal? Let's take a look at Brian Dashnagel. He's 84. He seemed to fumble the ball a little bit. I don't think that was I think he missed the kick. I think something, if that's got to be the worst fake field goal I ever saw if it was a fake field goal. But anyway, Jimmy Williams is right there all over Dashnagel. Something went awry on the play, but I don't believe it was a fake field goal. Mike Ditka is a little upset.
Well, the Lions stop the Bears with 55 seconds left in the half and trail only by 3. Danielson out of the shotgun. They give it to James Jones. Jones is stopped behind the line of scrimmage for a loss of 1 on the play. And it was Mike Singletary, number 50, making the tackle.
Well, Detroit obviously is going to settle for going into the halftime down by, what, 3 points?
The way it
they
looks.
don't want to take a chance on a fumble or something like that. However, when you're 3-7-1, what do you got to lose?
Well,
you got the ball. If you got the ball, go for some points. That's the way I feel about it.
They have
of course, I'm not coaching.
They got a very tough wind in their face, Johnny. I think that might be part of the thinking too here, deep in their own end. If they were to have a ball hang up and the Bears went in to score, I would agree with their strategy here. They're going to throw on this down, so it may be both wrong, but it's a short one to Jones, and he is dropped at the 10-yard line. So that'll be it. Time expires. And at halftime at Soldier Field in Chicago, the Chicago Bears lead the Detroit Lions 10-7.
All right, Dallas and Buffalo, Irv, maybe, just maybe, and the Bills called on a former Notre Dame star who was their top draft choice, Greg Bell. He ran 85 yards for the Bills' touchdown. This is the longest run from scrimmage in the National Football League this year. And it gave the Bills a 7-0 lead. Subsequently, the Cowboys have come back, and they have settled for a field goal, so it stands at 7-3. Seattle and Cincinnati and the Seahawks continue to roll. It is 14-3 over the Bengals. Raw weather conditions in Cincinnati this afternoon. Cleveland over Atlanta, and Paul McDonald has thrown to Bruce Davis 43 yards for the Brown touchdown in that game. Bartkowski is back for the Falcons, and he hit Stacey Bailey for their score. The Rams and the Packers, Bear fans interested in this one, of course. Green Bay trailing Chicago by 3 in the NFC Central, and they got their touchdown. Irv?
Boy, they got it in a hurry with Len Dickey going to his favorite target, James Lofton, because Lofton leads the NFC with average catch per catch. Here he is picking off one for a 37-yard reception. A few plays later, Eddie Ivory goes over from 1 yard out, and that's it, 7-6. Green Bay.
As Lansford has just kicked a second field goal, and that is why the other 3 points were up there. The Bears, of course, are ahead of the Lions, 10-7. The game you're watching, the Patriots over the Colts, it is 16-7 in that game right now. And, of course, for the Colts, the story there is Art Schlichter is starting his first game at quarterback. The Redskins over the Eagles, 7-3 right now. Very controversial play led to the Redskins' touchdown in this game. Now, watch here as the Eagles are able to stop John Riggins one time after another. At least 4 times they have stopped Riggins down inside the 10-yard line. Now, watch the call here. Mosley coming up with the field goal. See the defender come in? They call that roughing the kicker, and he appeared to be blocked to the ground. Mosley had missed the field goal. The Redskins wound up with a first down as a result of that. And here comes Theismann up throwing. And he hits Didier for the touchdown, and now the Redskins have a lead. Irv, I certainly didn't agree with that call. What about you?
Well, you know, the Eagles argued the play because they thought that one of their defenders had touched the ball. Now, if you hit the ball, you can run into the kickers. No penalty. But the officials ruled there was no contact with the football. He ran into the kicker, of course, and they called the penalty, first down, and the Redskin touchdown.
All right. Now, the most important game of the day, the Giants and the Cardinals, because the loser could be out as far as playoff contention is concerned. And the Cardinals lead it. Watch Lomax back to pass, and here comes you-know-who when he can't find a receiver. Number 56, and Lomax says, you're not going to get a real good shot at me, Lawrence. I'm going to go down a little bit early. The Sheik missed another field goal. It was off to the right, and Parcells was not happy with what was unfolding, and this is a beautiful play here by the Cardinals.
A great play against an aggressive defense. Lomax faking the pass here and bootlegging out an easy 1-yard touchdown run.
7-0, and the NFL Today continues on CBS after these messages from your local stations. On Thanksgiving Day, when it was always the Green Bay Packers against the Detroit Lions, well, that rivalry is coming back this Thanksgiving, and our coverage here on CBS begins at 12 noon Eastern Time. Then it'll be the Packers against the Lions. Now, you know, some of today's top players are as conscious of their appearance, how they look in and out of uniform, as any high-priced fashion model, and no design in the NFL is any more impressive than Body by Gastineau. He demonstrates that today's fashion is a radical departure from the old days when most players gave little or no thought at all to their waistlines.
And that's how some linemen looked in an earlier era, a time when nobody asked the question, where's the beef? But today, all the emphasis is on bodybuilding and muscle tone. In fact, most NFL players now spend almost as much time in the weight room as they do on the practice field. They have learned the value of pumping iron.
Strength conditioning plays such a large role in shaping up the performance of NFL stars. But there is one star in the league who combines natural speed and strength with a conditioning program that is almost fanatical.
For Mark Gastineau of the Jets, hardly a day goes by when he doesn't feel the need for a lift.
Weight training is a must in the NFL today. If you don't lift during preseason, if you don't lift at least 4 months before the season, you're going to find yourself laying on your back by these big offensive tackles that are coming in.
Pumping iron has kept Gastineau off his back, but opposing quarterbacks have not been so fortunate. The leading sacker in the NFL has all the muscles he needs for the job. But the secret to his success is not the biceps so much as his speed. With the ability to run a 4.5 40, Mark Gastineau may be the fastest lineman ever.
If Mark Gastineau didn't have his legs, he wouldn't be the football player that he is. To be very powerful and very quick, you have to have good, strong legs.
Gastineau takes pride in his work, no question. And when he's at the top of his form, no quarterback is nimble enough to escape his grasp. But as much as he loves to make a sack, Mark is not driven by a desire to knock quarterbacks out of a game.
Quarterbacks are not all bad guys. You know, they're basically good guys. They don't want to get hurt. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't have the Lyle Alzado attitude of, you know, wanting to kill somebody. That's just not me. If I can put a quarterback down, and I'm credited for a quarterback sack, and I've helped the team out, I've done my job, and I'm as happy as anybody could possibly be.
In his basement, you'll find $60,000 worth of weights, and they get plenty of work.
I don't think that there's anybody out there that doesn't want to look good. I got a little bit too consumed at first when I started looking good, when I could see my abdominal muscles, and I'm sure that my wife got sick of looking at me, looking in the mirror. But to be 275, 280 pounds, you don't want to look sloppy.
Nor is Mark averse to showing off his body in public. But muscles are not just for show.
It's a very important factor in me being as good as I am. And for me to stay in the top bracket in the NFL and be as good as I am and perform like I am, I've got to keep doing it.
Herb, I think for a time that folks thought that Mark Gastineau might be an invention of the New York media, but that is certainly not the case.
Well, no, he's a great football player, but, you know, but every player goes through some kind of weight training. But the difference today in weight training versus the old days is that every move you make is incorporated with your athletic movement. So Gastineau doing those forearm curls is doing that so he can deliver a real sharp blow to those offensive tackles.
Sounds good to me. Let me remind everybody, Herb, that with all the action cooking around the league right now, we're going to be back after the game you're watching, and we will have scores and highlights, and we'll take you to some live action if a good one's still cooking. But right now, let's send you back to the stadium and the game you're enjoying on CBS.
We're back at Soldier Field in Chicago, where the Chicago Bears lead Detroit 10-7. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris, and the Bears jumping off to a good quick start on their opening series, grinding out the clock, and Steve Fuller showing that he is an able backup to the injured Jim McMahon. In fact, Johnny, in this series, we'll see him show some of his running ability. He took the Bears in deep.
He wound up with 2 carries for 28 yards, and he shows that he does have the style of running that Jim McMahon does. He analyzed the pocket real well, couldn't see anybody open, and then took off down the field. And I think the plus factor for Bear fans is the fact that he showed pretty good speed and durability as he went right down the middle and then challenged the Detroit defensive backfield and linebackers and took a big hit and got right up. So this set up the Bears' first touchdown. As you know, they went on to lead 10-0.
2-yard touchdown pass from Fuller to Dunsmore. Now the Lions got back in it with this big play here. Gary Danielson to Leonard Thompson, and an old wide receiver like you likes to see a play like this.
Well, anytime you can get a guy 1-for-1 running down the field, and Terry Schmidt had been on the bench, he wasn't really warmed up that much, and he covered Leonard Thompson, who always comes up with big plays against the Chicago Bears. Came up with another one there with the one-handed catch, and Danielson deserves a lot of credit. He came back with some pretty good passes.
Yes, they did, and they closed the margin to 10-7, and that's how it stands as we begin the third quarter. We'll be right back. We are back at Soldier Field in that first half of play, in which the Bears scored 10 points to 7 by Detroit. Chicago had the football, 21 minutes to only 9 for the Detroit Lions. And that has been a trademark of Chicago throughout the season. They have scored early, and they have had the ball for most of the game. And as you can see, in the first down department, a healthy lead. The kickoff taken deep in the end zone. Dennis Jack Cameron, number 30, and not brought out, so they'll start from the 20-yard line. 10 first downs to 4 for the Chicago Bears in that first half.
And 137 yards rushing, and that was the key for the Chicago Bears. But you have to bear in mind that in the past few games, the Bears have had a tendency not to do as well in the second half, scoring very few points and not controlling the ball like they do in the first half. And since it's a 10-7 ball game, the Lions got to figure they have a good shot at this game.
So the Bears first down with Steve Fuller at quarterback from the 20-yard line. Pitch out to Payton trying the short side. Gets a hole-off tackle and gains 4 to the 24-yard line. Stopped there by McNorton, number 29, the cornerback. 2nd and 6.
I would say that it seems colder than 38 degrees, fans. It really does. It is getting colder and windier here at Soldier Field.
No doubt in my mind about that, and I got to believe the players are feeling it down there. The wind has definitely been a factor. Indeed, Detroit, winning the toss, opted to kick off with the wind. As it turned out, the Bears marched down the field and scored against them on the first series. Payton trying the right side is shut down, and there'll be a loss on the play as the linebacker Ken Fantetti surged through there with a good defensive effort. Gary Cobb, number 53, from the left linebacking spot. And it'll be a loss of a yard on the play, bringing up 3rd down and 7.
Now here's the key. Let's get an idea of how the Lions are going to handle this. Defensively, they have done very well on 1st and 2nd down. It's been the 3rd down situations and 3rd down and long where the Bears have really stung them. They have shut Payton down pretty well, but 3rd down, let's see what happens on this situation.
In motion, McKinnon out of the shotgun, and they give it to Payton out the right side. And a diving tackle by Fantetti on top, and underneath Bobby Watkins, number 27. So good defensive work by the Lions on that series, as the Bears got literally zipped. And it'll be 4th down with Dave Finzer coming into punt.
And he will be punting against a strong, strong wind. The Lions should come up with good field position.
Manley at the 40-yard line of the Detroit Lions. Finzer gets it away from about the 16. A short punt hangs up in the wind. Manley trying to return it was dropped immediately by Anthony Hutchison at the 45-yard line, but the Lions will have a good field position to start this second half offensive series from, as they trail by only 3 and have the football at their own 45. Gary Danielson brings them on.
He only threw 6 passes in the first half, completed 4 out of 6 and a couple of biggies, but by and large, the Lions, who haven't had the ball all that much, have been running mostly.
Chadwick, Leonard Thompson, the wide receivers. Chadwick out to the right. Dave Daddio, the rookie, and James Jones. Jones with the football. He's hit by Richard Dent and stopped just over the line of scrimmage. With a second effort, he got about a yard, and a little conversation between Otis Wilson and Dave Daddio.
And Daddio got into it with everybody there. Todd Bell and Otis Wilson. Daddio wants to play. He wants to play some football.
They give him a gain of a yard on the play. It'll be 2nd and 9 from the 46 of the Detroit Lions. High formation again. Daddio in front of Jones. The call in motion. Daddio, the lead back. Daddio dives and works his way for about 2, maybe 3 yards, stretching it out to the 49, where Steve McMichael and Mike Hartenstein made the tackle. So that brings up a 3rd down play. And Johnny, we've been watching with interest on coverage of other Bear games that Todd Bell, who is a safety man in the Bears defensive scheme of things, can also become a linebacker, and it gives the quarterback on the opposition a lot of fits as to exactly what he's playing at any given time.
Ken Jenkins is in the game.
Jenkins, number 31. Danielson to throw, and he hits Chadwick for a 1st down to the 41-yard line of Chicago. Terry Schmidt, the extra defensive back in, made the stop there with help from Sean Gale, but Danielson connects against that Bears defense, and the Lions are in Bears territory at the 41.
Okay, you can see there was Todd Bell, who you were just talking about. He was in on the blitz, and boy, was he straightened up and by Jenkins there, as Todd Bell did not become a factor. You can see there was the blitz by 50 Singletary, and the Lions really adjusted and picked up the blitz perfectly. As Sean Gale couldn't get there for the interception, the Lions in good position.
1st down from the Bears 41. McCall in motion again. This is Jones. Jones, and it's Todd Bell making the initial contact on him. Jones tried to get wide, and Bell forced him inside and then put a grab on him. Hampton was then able to make sure he got no farther.
And you see, Todd Bell had to take on those pulling linemen there, and did a good job of it, as the Lions are going to a little counter action, trying to get the Bears to move one way and then coming back against the grain.
talking with Todd Bell about this role, saying, well, maybe you don't get as much recognition playing as a normal safety would. You get fewer chances at intercepts, and you're asked to take on those big guards as a linebacker. And he said, well, the football people, I think, recognize what I do well, and hopefully my coach, Buddy Ryan. Second down and 9. Jones takes it wide. He's got some running room, and Bell tackles him from behind, riding Hurd on him, with Al Harris getting over there to help out, but it looks like Jones is very close to the first down, about a yard short.
Now that time the Bears had the blitz on. 55 Otis Wilson ran right outside it. As you look at Todd Bell on the blitz, and then adjusts to the play and comes over and gets in on the tackle, but not before the Lions got down there very, very close to a first down. Third and about a foot.
At the 32-yard line of Chicago. The Lions are marching. Jones and Daddio. Daddio off the wing. Pitch out to Jones. Gets a block on the corner. Jones rips it down the sideline inside the 25 of the Chicago Bears for a first down. Singletary forced him out there. Lions got a good block on Mike Hartenstein on the right side.
They certainly did. Chris Dietrich and Daddio were both in on it, and they, when you can get that in and stop any penetration, you got a good shot. Good block by Dietrich and Daddio to make sure that Mike Hartenstein did not get in on that play.
Just reiterating the halftime score at Green Bay, the Pack leads Los Angeles Rams 14-6. Green Bay at 4-7, tied with Tampa Bay in second place behind the Bears. Lions trying to keep their slender playoff hopes alive in a must-win today. And that is Ken Jenkins blasting straight ahead for about 8 to the 16-yard line of Chicago. Ken Jenkins, the second-year man from Bucknell, joined the Lions from Philadelphia last year as a free agent.
He had a good game a couple of weeks ago, then last week made a few mental mistakes, and now is back in there as the Lions are doing to the Bears what the Bears did to the Lions in the first half. Eating up the clock and keeping the ball.
Grinding it out. 2nd and 2 for the Lions. Their first offensive series of the second half. We have 8:34 to go, third period. 2nd and 2, and Danielson didn't like something he saw. Well, in talking to Danielson last night about that Bears defense, as he takes a timeout to talk it over with Monty Clark and Bill Nelson and company, Danielson said, well, you try to keep things simple, run your own things, but yes, they do give you a lot of strange looks. We'll be right back. And Johnny Morris, we have a 2nd and short at the Bears' 16-yard line. The Lions driving, pitch out, Jenkins. Jenkins hit at the line, second effort has a first down to the 11-yard line. Somebody had an arm on him back at the line of scrimmage. Dan Hampton, I believe, and looks like Jenkins with a good second effort shook that off and got the Lions first down.
You're right, he almost had his head taken off here. As you're going to see Hampton go down the line, he's number 99. He'll be right there. He gets his arm right around Jenkins' head, and Jenkins maintained his balance and got it 2 or 3 more yards. First down, Detroit.
They are at the 11-yard line of the Chicago Bears, trailing 10-7. The Lions trying to stave off elimination in the NFC Central. Must win today. They trail by only 3 and a long way to go. McCall in motion. This is Daddio. Daddio, the rookie from Maryland, is stopped after a gain of a yard. Stacked up by the whole left side of the Bears defense, and a little extracurricular activity once more. Otis Wilson and Reese McCall getting at each other a little. Hampton, Hartenstein, McMichael all in on the stop after a gain of about a yard for Daddio.
Isn't it amazing how so many times when you get down near the end zone, your first down winds up around the 10-yard line? You know, it just seems that it always happens that way. That puts a team in a bind. Of course, you'd rather have a first on the 10 than back in your own territory.
The Lions have had their problems inside the opposition 20, and they did last week against Washington. Jones and Jenkins, the running backs. Pitch out, reverse, Leonard Thompson. Thompson, with a good effort, winds up with about a 2-yard gain, but the Bears reacted very well defensively. Hartenstein, Hampton, Singletary were all over there. Gary Fensick, the man to make sure he got no further.
You had to wonder when the Lions were going to pull it. Last year, Leonard Thompson went for a touchdown on the same play. He comes around here, but Mike Singletary, number 50, and some of the Bears did not bite as much, and it was a rather surprise play because they were so down deep into Chicago Bear territory, and here comes Singletary, number 50, to to make the tackle. So we have a third down passing situation.
Lions are 4 of 6 on third down. If they make this one, they will likely have a touchdown. Danielson forced out. He's got some room. Still throws. Touchdown. Gary Danielson to Chadwick. Jeff Chadwick, number 89. And Danielson, very near the line of scrimmage, pulled up, saw the man open, and hit the score as the Lions go ahead.
What a great play by Gary Danielson, because the Bears had the blitz on. Watch him duck under this tackle here and then get out of trouble because he was swarmed. There's Richard Dent, who went right over the top of his shoulders, and then he takes off here, realized he couldn't quite make it to the end zone, and throws back the other way when he's running to his left and throws to the right. Chadwick was all alone. Great play by Gary Danielson.
Difficult throw, as you can see, going
yes,
hard to his left and throwing back to his right. And Danielson will hold for Eddie Murray. Point after is good by Murray, and so the Detroit Lions have jumped in front. Their first offensive series of the second half, resulting in the go-ahead touchdown. 6:04 remaining in the third quarter. The Detroit Lions using the wind, using their resources, and particularly the work of Gary Danielson, resulting in a go-ahead touchdown at 14-10, 55 yards and 11 plays, and they used up 6:36 on the clock. So giving back a little to the Chicago Bears in that possession department, as the Bears had the ball for most of the first half of play. Danielson winding it up with a touchdown pass to Jeff Chadwick. Eddie Murray ready to kick it off. Native of Victoria, British Columbia.
Murray will kick off. Cameron and Dewerson are deep for the Bears.
Taken by Dewerson at the 9-yard line. Dewerson gets over the 20 to about the 23, where he is stopped by the Lions special team linebacker Angelo King, number 92. Well, Thanksgiving Day starts off a terrific weekend of sports action on CBS Sports. The Detroit Lions, 5 days from now, at home against Green Bay, renewing the old rivalry that goes back the last time they met back in 1963. Then Friday, an outstanding college football game. Doug Flutie and the Boston College Eagles, Bernie Kosar and the Miami Hurricanes. Saturday afternoon basketball, Louisville Cardinals against the Hoosiers of Indiana. And then that'll be followed by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish against the Rose Bowl bound USC Trojans. Wow. We'll be watching, hope you will. Pitch out to Thomas on first down. Thomas gets about a yard out near the 25-yard line. Gary Cobb and Mike Kofer combining to stop him there.
Well, the Bears have stuck mainly on the ground. The first 3 plays they had it in this half, and now this first play, and they're getting a few boos from the crowd, thinking that maybe the Bears have to open up a little bit. They've had a tendency to be conservative in the second half.
I know somebody in Detroit who follows Eddie Murray's Canadian background will be calling in to say he's not from Victoria, BC. He's from the other side of the country, Halifax, Nova Scotia, and they will be right.
You were close.
Coast to coast apart. 2nd and 9. Walter Payton turned it upfield, but so far the Lions have done an outstanding job on Payton. Ken Fantetti putting the stop on him. They've been spreading out quickly to get him at the corners and not giving him much room to navigate on his wide runs. A pickup of about 3 as usual on the Payton effort itself, but it still brings up 3rd down and 4 from the 29 of Chicago.
If they run this time and they don't make it, you're going to hear some boos from Soldier Field. If they throw it, where you have to throw against the Lions is over the middle, because they do so much double zoning to the outside that usually the tight end or the back is the guy that's open. Look at this.
Well, that's been a problem for the Bears in their last 3 games. A slowdown. And they're trailing 14-10. Fuller's pass is blocked at the line of scrimmage. I believe Fantetti got a hand on it. And so the Lions defense surges up again. There's Ken Fantetti.
They tried to crisscross the backs out there, as you'll see. 33 Calvin Thomas going one way, and then comes Dennis McKinnon. He was going for Calvin Thomas, 33, and there is Fantetti, who watched the quarterback, was back on his coverage, leaped up and made a fine play.
So the Lions will get the ball back in pretty good shape here. Finzer punting into the wind. Pete Manley waiting for it at the 34-yard line of Detroit. Finzer gets a high punt, and it is Manley fair catching at the 38-yard line of the Lions. Fans wanted a roughing the kicker call on Finzer, but none forthcoming.
None because of the fact that he was blocked into the kicker. Brian Bashnigo threw a block, so you can't call roughing the kicker on that situation.
We'll be back with the Lions in control of the football. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back at Soldier Field, where the Detroit Lions, with a 14-10 lead, scoring here in the third quarter, have the football again. First down at their own 39. That is James Jones trying to make the turn. Unable to do so. Got maybe a yard and a half on the play. Al Harris strung it out and forced him out of bounds, number 90. Very mobile linebacker playing the right side. Six-year man from Arizona State,
who has blended into a linebacker position sensationally after playing defensive line for the first few years of his career.
Well, they mark it a 2-yard gain, so we'll call it 2nd and 8 from the 41-yard line of the Lions. Gary Danielson leading them downfield on their first offensive series of the third period for the go-ahead score. Jones and Daddio, the running backs in with Danielson, the quarterback. McCall in motion.
Blitz.
Play action. Danielson for Rob Rubik, overthrows him. Sean Gale and Al Harris downfield on the coverage. Now let's take a look at some of the other scores around the league here, as Danielson appeared a little upset. The Giants have kicked a field goal, Ali Haji Sheikh, and they're in the third period, trailing St. Louis 7-3. And look at this. The Eagles ahead of the Redskins 9-7 in the third. Washington at 7-4.
And Green Bay ahead of the Rams. The big game as far as the Bears and Lions are concerned. Green Bay 14-6 over the Rams. Buffalo still leads Dallas 7-3, third quarter.
Terry Schmidt in as an extra defender for the Chicago Bears as we see Cleveland leading Atlanta 13-7. Danielson on third down. They're 5 of 7 converting, and he's got his man for a first down. Jeff Chadwick going high in the air to haul it in and then holding on against the hit of Gary Fensick. First down at the Bears' 44-yard line for Detroit.
After Danielson had told everybody almost individually what he wanted him to do, out of the shotgun, good blocking. He'll take a hit from McMichael, 76, but he looks for Chadwick, who finds the hole in between those Bear defenders, the linebacker and Fensick, and Chadwick makes the grab.
Perfectly timed leap.
And watch the hit that he takes right there.
So first down, Lions, and the Bears rise up to stuff Ken Jenkins on first down. He was lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Dan Hampton, sore elbow and all, making the hit. And it looks like he's taken the pad off that elbow that he had on in the first half on his sore left elbow. No, it's still there. Still there. Well, that would not be surprising with the personality of Dan Hampton, but obviously he's elected to do the right thing. Leave it on. 2nd and 9. Chadwick again. Chadwick leaping high in front of Mike Richardson. He made the tackle, but it's another Lion first down as Danielson and Chadwick combine one more time.
What a super play by Chadwick as he came back to the ball, really came back. And went for the ball, had to go up with the old hands. That's not Chadwick, is it? That's not Chadwick.
Mark Nichols,
That's,
86.
Yeah.
Right you are, Johnny Morris. Mark Nichols, number 86, not 89. Chadwick, the 4-year man from San Jose State. So he makes a big play, as Chadwick had on the previous first down. And the Lions on the march again, and they lead by 4. James Jones hit by Otis Wilson behind the line of scrimmage.
Otis Wilson is beating Daddio to the point of attack there. As you're running out, if you run out of that I formation, that lead back has got to look for somebody coming across there, and Otis Wilson twice has gotten through there before Daddio can react to his quick move and making the tackle.
Mark Nichols goes out. Chadwick is back in. 2nd down and 9. They gave him a yard on the play. Chadwick goes wide left and Thompson wide right. 2nd and 9. Chadwick, and it is incomplete, intended for Chadwick as he cut into the center of the field. had not looked up when Danielson released the ball. Otis Wilson was right in on top of Danielson. So it'll bring up 3rd and 9 at the Bears' 32-yard line. Danielson 8 of 12. Dewerson and Schmidt, 22 and 44, come in to replace Harris and Wilson for the Bears on the passing down.
Let's watch the Lions offense to see if there's a last-second shift by the backs and tight end to kind of confuse the Bears.
Lions are 6 of 8, turning it over on 3rd down. Danielson out of the shotgun. He's got a man open, and it's complete to Nichols. First down, Lions at the 20-yard line. Richardson made the tackle, but Danielson found his open man at the sideline.
Richardson, you can see him already backing off, 27. He's playing a little bit soft there, and he just cuts back in there. Nice pass right in the old breadbasket, and Mark Nichols gets another first down for the Lions.
From the 20-yard line, Detroit knocking on the door again. 27 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter, and they lead by 4. Chicago took a 10-7 lead into the locker room at halftime. They have had their problems in the second half in recent games. In motion, James Jones. Play action, rolling Danielson, and he is caught. Richard Dent slings him to the turf. And Danielson looking up, saying, I think I was in his grasp. Did I need that little extra?
He was thankful for the rule, wasn't he, in that situation? Because Richard Dent didn't get fooled. He's number 95 at the right of your screen as Danielson went out there on the rollout, and Dent is very quick for a defensive lineman, and he got a hold of Danielson before he could get out around the horn, and he does have him in the grasp, I would have to say.
Second down at the 30-yard line. It is 2nd and 20. And time is called by the Lions with 2 seconds on the clock. Timeout is called by...
That is Detroit. Second timeout.
Detroit.
He wants the wind before they have to turn the other direction, so if he's going to be throwing a pass, he wants it wind behind him.
That was the Bears' 2nd sack on that last play. I think both were by Dent, as I recall. We'll double check that, but Danielson consults with Monty Clark. We'll be right back. The Lions took their 2nd timeout with 2 seconds left in the quarter. Johnny's speculation, I agree with, that they wanted the wind here on the 2nd and long from the 30-yard line. Wind is a factor in this game, and it is incomplete. Trying to get to the 25 was Rob Rubik, the tight end. Coverage on him was tight from Todd Bell and Mike Singletary, and that brings the 3rd quarter to a close. At the end of the 3rd quarter, the score, the Detroit Lions 14, the Chicago Bears 10. We now pause for a word from your local station. Chicago Bears trying to rile up the crowd here at Soldier Field in support of the defensive stand of the Bears. 3rd and 20 from the 30-yard line. The Lions have the football. Danielson gives it to Jones. A miscue on the play. The ball is loose, a pile-up, and it looks like Detroit has maintained possession. But a real foul up there. It appeared as though Danielson was trying to hand the ball off to Jones on a bit of a draw play out of that shotgun.
That's exactly what it was, and he couldn't get the handoff to him. He decided not to throw into the wind on the long yardage, and you see right there a little handoff to James Jones, and then he's hit and fumbles the ball. The Lions did recover, but they're out of field goal range. As I don't know who recovered. Who recovered?
Larry Lee recovered
Lee
for the Lions, it appeared, and Richard Dent, the man to shake the ball loose for the Bears. It brings up a Lions punt, so they failed to capitalize on that drive.
And the key for the Bears was Richard Dent's 14th sack. It put the Lions out of field goal range.
Black hits it from the Bears 45, angling for the corner. And it apparently went into the end zone by about a yard, so it'll be a touchback. Nice try by Black. Missed it by about a yard. Lions mildly protesting down there that the ball went out of bounds before it went into the end zone, and Black's not too happy either with that decision.
No, he's very upset. He thought that he cut the corner there.
So the Bears start from the 20-yard line on offense, trailing 14-10. And remember, next Sunday doubleheader action. The NFL Today begins it Philadelphia will be at St. Louis. The Cardinals still very much in the thick of playoff action. The Rams at Tampa Bay, the other game, starts at 12:30 Eastern Time, 11:30 Central, followed by the doubleheader game, the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings, 2:30 Central Time. Bears with a chance to eliminate the Lions today from the NFC Central Championship prospects, but they trail 14-10. Play action, Fuller. Sideline, McKinnon, complete. First down at the 34-yard line. Bobby Watkins, the cornerback, number 27, had the coverage and made the tackle.
That was an excellent pattern by Dennis McKinnon, and Fuller put it right on the dime as McKinnon faked the up pattern, drove Watkins off, and then came back on the 18-yard out, and the timing was perfect. He made the catch, and there was nothing that the Lions could do about it. The Bears haven't been throwing on first down very much in this football game. Let's see if that's going to be their pattern. The Lions have a tendency to double the outside receivers.
First down from the 33-yard line of the Chicago Bears. I formation, Suey leading Payton. Off to Payton, he gets the block. Walter Payton breaks a tackle and bashes his way to the 46-yard line. First down, Chicago. 4 Lions combined there. Ken Fantetti, number 57. The first man to put a hit on him. Kofor and Graham there as well.
And it was Mark Bortz, number 62, who comes out afterwards and throws the block. Right there, 62 throws a key block on Doug English to spring Payton, and then Payton does the rest as he gets away from Cobb and goes down before finally a host of Lions stop him. 2 big plays in a row for the Bears as they move almost to midfield.
Fuller is now 7 of 12 passing. Payton has 70 yards. Payton gets out to midfield with that rush, and again it's William Graham. There is a little bit of a dispute going on between William Graham, the tough safety, number 33, and Walter Payton, the man they call Sweetness, number 34 of the Bears. Doug English tripped him up. A gain of 4 yards for Payton. 2nd and 6. Well, they do read the numbers out there, don't they, Johnny? I mean, they read each other's numbers. Payton has now carried 23 times for 74 yards. Fuller, complete to Willie Gault. First down. Watkins pushed him out. Bears on the march. Fuller passing, Payton running, and the Bears are inside the 40 at the 38-yard line of the Detroit Lions. The Lions lead 14-10, 12:38 to play, regulation time.
There's Ed Hughes and Mike Ditka there, the offensive brain trust of the Chicago Bears. Ditka calls the plays. Ed Hughes devises them during the week.
Fuller up to 7 of 12 passing. Monty Clark watching on with some trepidation here. His team rebounding in the 3rd period to take the lead. Now the Bears marching. Play action. Fuller, little roll left, overthrows Matsui. One of the few off-the-mark passes from Fuller today. He was now 7 of 13.
One of the reasons that was off the mark was that Jimmy Williams was there for good coverage, as Steve Fuller has done well last game, and this game has done very well. Number 1 draft choice out of Clemson. Had a couple of good years at Kansas City.
You know, at Clemson, he rolled up an interesting stat. He is the 2nd all-time best percentage against interception NCAA leader. In other words, 1 interception out of every 27 throws in college over his career. So an accurate passer who doesn't throw the ball away. Hasn't had an intercept as a Bear as yet. 2nd and 10. Pitch out to Payton. Payton picks up 3, maybe 4 yards, depending on the spot. Stacked up by Ken Fantetti, who has stalked them all afternoon. Number 57. Williams, 59, and Alvin Hall there as well.
And here comes the key play. 3rd down and about 7.
Moorhead brings it in. The delivery man to Fuller. Out comes Dunsmore.
It'll be interesting to see how the Lions will play it.
3rd and 7 from the 35-yard line. Green Bay has taken a 24-6 lead over the Los Angeles Rams. A second touchdown by Eddie Lee Ivory. In motion goes Dennis McKinnon. Fuller, deep. He has a man open, and it is McKinnon. Incomplete. Dennis McKinnon, a diving grab and a near collision with Willie Gault. Both near the goal post. Had it in his hands, could not hold on.
Yes, he did have it, but he juggled the ball, and by the time he got control, he was down and out of bounds. At least that's the way it appeared to me, as McKinnon and Gault were both converging on the ball. And here it comes. There he's got the juggle. Great concentration, though, isn't it?
Great try by McKinnon. And the ball hits the ground.
And
incomplete.
Well,
so the field goal try from the 42-yard line with the wind will be a 53-yard attempt. Thomas has a 52-yarder to his credit this season. Good foot. He has it. Bob Thomas with a 53-yarder. We'll wait to get the official count on it before we say that it's his longest of the season. At a 52-yarder last week.
he hit it. He knew he had it from the word go. He knew it was there. At least Byron Bashnagel knew it was there, and so does Bob Thomas finally, who is a very emotional type of player. He said, I got that field goal. This game is up for grabs now.
At windblown Soldier Field, Bob Thomas, a 52-yard officially, 52-yard field goal to make it 14-13. He had one last week against the Los Angeles Rams, and that is second only to a 55-yarder he kicked in his rookie year in 1975 at the Los Angeles Coliseum. And you can see that the wind is indeed blowing. Twice it has blown the ball off the tee. And we see that 24-6 Green Bay score. So the Green Bay Packers, what a surge they are on. Forrest Gregg bringing them back from a horrible start. A victory there would make them 5-7, and they'd still be in the NFC Central hunt. That is Alvin Hall on the kickoff from the 6, and he is still going out to the 28-yard line. Finally stumbled and fell of his own accord, tripped up by Dan Raines. And so the Lions take over with pretty good field position. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
All right, Tim, you and Johnny just spoke about the score, and here's the play for the Packers that did it. Eddie Lee Ivory pounding in, and the Bears better not look back because here come the Packers. Let's go back now to Chicago.
Eddie Lee Ivory has been a big force in the resurgence of the Packers. It's getting into the offensive action. 22-yard return by Alvin Hall here at Soldier Field. First down from the 28-yard line. Jones in motion. Pitch out to Ken Jenkins. Jenkins cannot get upfield. He stopped at the line of scrimmage. Gary Fensick, number 45, with the initial contact. Mike Hartenstein helping out, number 73. Danielson, 9 of 14, 114 yards and a touchdown. As a 2nd and 10.
There are the Giants leading St. Louis 9-7. Who expected that game to be 9-7 in the third quarter with St. Louis, such a high-scoring team? Philadelphia has the lead over Washington third quarter, 16-10. And New England beating Indianapolis.
26-10 third period. McCall in motion. Pitch out to Jenkins. Jenkins picks his way along the sideline for a gain of 2, maybe 3 yards. Singletary and Wilson stop him there. Number 50 and number 55, linebackers for the Chicago Bears. 2-4-3 defenses against each other today. That's kind of rare these days in the NFL, although by the time the Bears get finished fooling around, you're looking at 6 and 8s and 3s and 5s. 4-3 doesn't really ever look like a 4-3.
Couple of more scores here. Seattle 17-6 over Cincinnati third quarter. And that's it for now. Here's a big play for the Lions. They have a 3rd and 8.
Lions are 7 of 10 in this department today. A goodly percentage and a big one here.
See the shifting at the last second?
Danielson with a deep drop, sets up the screen to Jenkins. Jenkins with Dent in pursuit. Look at the speed of foot by Richard Dent. And a gain of only 2. Richard Dent, the young man from Tennessee State, in his second year, he can move that 245-pound frame.
He certainly can. Actually, the Lions came up with the right play as the Bears tried their twist, and Dent comes off his block. He's 95 now. You got to remember, he's a defensive lineman that weighs 255, 260 pounds, and he runs down Jenkins, and the screen ends up being no success.
Michael Black with his 3rd punt. Hits it from the 22-yard line. A short punt into the wind. Lions bounce. Now back the other way. And will be down at the 36-yard line. And now Todd Bell there's a little fisticuffs going on between the reserve linebacker, number 92, Angelo King, and Todd Bell, number 25 of the Bears. See whether any penalties are forthcoming.
They each scored a right hook. It's a draw.
Yeah, to the helmet, which means they've got sore knuckles at this point. Lions lead by 1. We are back at Soldier Field, where the Lions and the Bears are clawing at each other, literally, figuratively, and on the scoreboard, a 1-point differential. Tempers have been flaring, and this is a hard-fought game. The Lions fighting to stave off elimination. The Bears trying to get rid of them in the NFC Central. They trail by a point. First down from the 35. Fuller, sliding catch by Dennis McKinnon for a gain of 7. And there is Graham again, and McKinnon has a word for him. And now there's some conversation from the Bears sideline. William Graham would not win a popularity contest in the Bears locker room. He would not get 1 vote in there. Even before the game, there was some talk. They don't consider him genteel.
Well, he's saying, hey, I have to hit him. He was down on the ground, but he can get up and run. And so McKinnon makes the hit, and here comes Mr. Graham with the knees.
I thought that was relatively gentle, actually, but McKinnon didn't like the little.
He didn't like those knees, knees to the chops. 2nd and 3. Bears from their 43. Draw play, Suey. Suey batters his way for the first down. Hofer, number 66, had him at the line of scrimmage, but Matt Suey, showing some strength, pushed his way past, and English and Gay had to come and help out. First down for the Chicago Bears at their own 49. The tide offensively seems to have turned towards the Bears. They're moving the ball. They're getting some blocking at the front of the line. The key for the Bears is not a big mistake, a fumble or something like that. Because if the Lions get the ball back, they're going to be tough.
First down, 49-yard line, McKinnon. Draw play, Payton, and that is stuffed. Doug English, number 78. Shaking off the block of Mark Bortz and stopping Payton for a loss of about 3.
There's Doug English. Let's take a look at Doug as the Bears, Mark Bortz is blocking on him, and English shows some of his strength right there. He ran right through the block and knocked down Bortz and Payton at the same time. Good individual effort by Doug English to put the Bears out of their, what you call a normal game plan. They don't like to be 2nd and 14.
From the 46-yard line, the I formation. Suey, the lead back. McKinnon wide right, Galt left. Swing it to Payton. Payton away from Fantetti and is short of the first down, but got to the 45-yard line of the Lions. It'll leave a 3rd and a long 4 for Chicago. Graham on the tackle.
He now has 364 receptions, number 1 on the Bears list. So not only does he run great, he catches well. He's going to have over 400 passes before his career ends. And that time was like a run, getting around the horn. Fantetti had the angle on him, but he dipsy-dooed by him, and by the time Fantetti hung on to it, Payton had gotten back to the 45-yard line.
Johnny kept talking, so I wouldn't say that it was Johnny Morris's record, the Bears receiving record that Payton broke a week ago.
I told you, I'm coming out of retirement. It's not over yet.
3rd down. Fuller rolling right, Trying to find McKinnon. He does. Is he inbounds? No. Yes, no. Hard to say here what that signal is. Yes, it's a completion. Kept his feet inbounds. He was right at the sideline. And it is a first down for the Bears at the Lions 32.
Okay, let's watch his feet and let's see what happens here as the ball comes in. It was like a wounded duck, but McKinnon got it, sits down, and he has it. It looks like a completed pass to me.
That's the way the officials saw it.
Boy, what a big play.
And a big play for a first down at the Lions 31-yard line. Bears trail by 1. 6:26 to play, fourth quarter. Steve Fuller, in his second start as a Chicago Bear, has played another very steady game. Slot formation left. They give it to Payton. He's dropped by Kofer. Loss on the play of about 3 yards as Michael Kofer, showing his agility, reaching back to haul down Walter Payton. They'll spot it at the 32-yard line. It turns out to be a loss of just about a yard. 2nd and 11. 5:58 and counting down in this fourth quarter. Fuller, 11 for 18 in the passing department, 124 yards. Potential pass situation here for Chicago. But they go to the run. And again, Payton is tripped up. Fell over his own blocker, Jim Covert, but was going nowhere, it would appear, because Gay and Green were there to stack up the middle where Payton was headed. And Payton got a yard to bring it back to 3rd and 10.
There is an interesting statistic. The Bears are 5-0 versus Detroit when Payton rushes for more than 100 yards.
Well, we've got a corrected stat on Walter. We had one earlier that showed him over 70 yards, and I wondered about that at the time. This one is official. 26 carries, 60 yards on the day for Walter Payton. 3rd and 10. Fuller to Payton, incomplete. Pass thrown inside of Payton. Waller got his fingertips on it, could not hold on, and so the Lions rise up again and create a 4th down situation.
And Bob Thomas is on the spot once again. It's going to be a rather long field goal, but he does have the wind with him.
You know, I think it's timely to say here that whatever the criticism of the Lions and their record and their problems this year, and Monty Clark, etc., they are playing awfully hard today. They're trying their very best out here. They've made several solid defensive stands. They're playing with heart and desire, and that simply can't be denied. And credit has to go to the coaching staff and these players. Thomas from the 39-yard line will try, and it's bobbled by Baschnagel. Baschnagel throws it off to Cabral. Cabral is tackled at the 25, short of the first down. And the Lions will take over. So twice we have seen a problem involving the hold with Brian Baschnagel on field goal attempts. Whether or not that one was going to be a fake, that appeared less of a fake attempt. It looked like Brian just had trouble with it.
He had trouble with the ball and really did a good job of getting up and getting rid of the ball as Brian Cabral, 54, was waving for it, but the Lions stopped it, prevented the first down. Good tackle by Graham, and Detroit has the ball. You can see Brian Baschnagel's hands now. He has a pair of gloves in him, and he was wearing gloves when he was holding for the kick. Maybe he'll take those gloves off from now on.
Well, it was a problem there for sure. He could not hold the snap. The Lions take over. James Jones gets about 2 before Richard Dent meets him and greets him. Lions lead by 1, 14-13, 4:34 and ticking. So they would like to use up that clock. The Chicago Bears would like to get the football back. There's Singletary looking over to get the defensive signals.
Buddy Ryan signaling in the defenses to Mike Singletary and calls the defense. The Lions are not moving the ball on the ground anymore. You can see what's coming right now. They're going to come up with the key 3rd down pass play.
2nd down and 8 for Detroit. Danielson away from Dent. Does not get away from the next man, and that is Hartenstein, who tripped him up Hampton finished him off. Wilson was there, and a sack by the Bears is a big one. A loss of 4 yards, make it 5 yards back to the 21-yard line, where it will be 3rd and 14.
Well, they were coming from everywhere, as Danielson really had no time to look down the field to find anybody, as Dent put the pressure on, forced Danielson to move. You'll see Hartenstein come in there. There's Otis Wilson, and Danielson was just running for his life. And now it's a 3rd and long situation in a game that has been devoid of penalties. There have not been many penalties.
We've got 4:01 to play, 4th quarter, Detroit by 1. I think those people saw the CBS cameras pointing in their direction. 4:01 to play, 4th quarter. One way to stay warm. It is chilly here at Soldier Field. 3rd and 14 for the Lions. High snap gathered in by Danielson. Sideliner. Almost intercepted by Richardson. Intended for Mark Nichols. Richardson had that one taped all the way. Had he caught it, he had the end zone ahead of him. The Lions will have to punt. And they're rushing on the field to try and get the punt out. They don't have the football there yet. So the Lions try to catch the Bears that didn't have a football to work with. All kinds of scrambling around. Black gets it away. It's a low line drive. A short punt is down inside Detroit territory at the 48-yard line. So the Chicago Bears, who trail 14-13, have 3:46 remaining and the football in Lions territory. Temperatures in the 30s here as time winds down at Soldier Field in Chicago. The Bears have the football after a short punt into the wind by Mike Black of Detroit. First down at the 47-yard line of the Detroit Lions. Willie Gault comes wide to the right, McKinnon to the left. Payton and Suey in the wide pro set. Just gets the ball off. Now that is grounding called against Fuller. Fuller rushes up to say, there's my intended receiver, but it was nowhere near Emery Moorhead, who he's pointing at. It was a lot closer to 3 offensive linemen who can't catch the ball.
Certainly was a delayed call by the official.
Well, I think he looked around, giving Fuller the benefit of the doubt to see if there was a receiver in that area. And then when he didn't find one, ruled it intentional grounding.
Boy, you talk about a big penalty.
That was apparently a busted play of some kind.
It was going to be a screen back the
Intentional
other way.
grounding. Number 4, offense. Loss of down, offense.
The ruling these days in the NFL is that even if he throws it towards a receiver, if the official judges that he threw it intentionally to avoid being sacked, that he can still call a penalty, even if there was a receiver in the area.
I would have agreed with the officials on that play totally. There was no doubt in my mind. He was just unloading the ball. 2nd down. And 23 yards to go. Fuller under pressure again, and he just got it off to Payton. Payton gets by Fantetti and bangs his way up to the 45-yard line, close to the 45 of Detroit. A pickup of about 13 yards on the play. Graham and Watkins made the tackle.
Well, Fuller helped the Bears get 13 yards out of a play where he could have been sacked once again, because he threw this one on his way down, and then Payton got a few extra yards out of it. You're going to see right there, he's on his way down, and Payton still gets another 7 or 8 to put the Bears in a position where they can possibly get that field goal with the wind behind him. So the Lions now have to come up with a big play. 3rd and about 9.
3rd and 9 from the 46-yard line of Detroit. Fuller has lots of time, but he does not deliver the ball this time. Intended for McKinnon. One of the few bad passes thrown by Fuller today. Ball just did not come off his fingers with any zip on it. So it is 4th down, 2:47 to play. Lions lead by a point.
Now, what will the Chicago Bears do? Will they punt and depend on the defense to hold them and force them to punt into the wind, or will they go on the 4th down play? It's too far for the field goal. So this is a big decision. Looks like they're going to go for it on 4th down.
Resetting this situation, the Lions trying to stave off elimination in the NFC Central. They must win today. the Bears not only could eliminate Detroit, but would all but ensure their championship victory. Still have to worry a little bit about Green Bay, but would be in excellent shape. They want the win here today. They are trailing by a point. Out of the shotgun they'll go. Fuller for Moorhead. He makes the catch. Emory Moorhead for a first down inside the 20 of the Lions. What a huge play by Steve Fuller and Emory Moorhead.
Emory Moorhead really took a hit from Alvin Hall. He concentrated on the ball as Fuller went out immediately on the rollout and threw the ball while going to his left, back to the right, and it was a little far. Moorhead knew he was going to take the hit. He stretched his body out and made the super catch, and Alvin Hall tried to jolt the ball loose. Moorhead hung on to the ball. Super play by Emory Moorhead, and the Bears now are in great shape to eat up the clock and kick the winning field goal.
2 minutes remain. A 28-yard gain to the 19-yard line of Detroit. The Lions clinging now to a 1-point lead. Mike Ditka, Ed Hughes, the staff of the Bears along the sideline. Discussion with Steve Fuller, who has turned in an outstanding afternoon in his second start as a Bear. He was outstanding last week in a losing cause. Today, 13 of 23, 164. He is down by a point here. And so he has yet to score a victory for the Chicago Bears. The Lions have fought and clawed and are clinging to their lead. The Bears inside the 20-yard line at the 19. Walter Payton to the 15-yard line.
Well, you would have to assume the Bears are going to keep it on the ground and try and position it perfectly for Bob Thomas. And Monty Clark's got to be wondering, is this going to be another one of those games that we're going to lose at the last minute?
Timeout is called by the Lions. 2nd and 6 remains for the Bears at the 16-yard line of Detroit.
There's Bob Thomas warming up. He knows he's going to be the man of the moment. It's going to be up to him. It's not going to be a long field goal.
That was the final timeout.
A field goal by
Detroit,
the Bears.
by the way.
A field goal by the Bears as a test to this game is not a cinch. The fact that they bobbled a couple of them.
Thomas has 2 field goals, and they've had 2 miscues. And we remind you to stay tuned following our telecast. We'll be going to New York. Brent Musburger will bring you up to date on all of the key action in the wrap-up show. Following the conclusion of activities here, the fans have got paper cartons and things sailing all around Soldier Field here with 1:43 on the clock. The wind blowing left to right as it has all day, and a little more briskly as the afternoon is worn on.
And that Lion defensive huddle, as Bob Thomas waits to get his chance, they should be, and I'm sure they're talking about tackling that ball. Go for that ball. Don't worry about making the tackle so much. See if you can jolt that ball loose, because they got to try and make something happen.
Lions have been defensively very, very tough today. It's been a problem for them over the season. They came to play this afternoon. They're leading by a point and trying to hang on. 2nd down and 6. Thomas is in with Payton. Payton, the ball carrier. Payton gets about 2, maybe 3 yards. 135 and counting down. Cobb, number 53. And a Lions slow to get up. William Graham, the safety man, who's played his usual aggressive, tough game today. Bears are 7 of 16 on 3rd down conversions today. They had a string going in the first period, and the Lions have stopped them in the more recent tries. 109. For a first down, they need to get to about the 9-yard line. And you'll expect that they'll keep it right there in the middle of the field for Bob Thomas. Rolling left is Fuller. Fuller to the 5-yard line with a burst of speed away from Williams. Well, they didn't go in the middle. They rolled out the quarterback, and had he not stumbled on his fake handoff, he might have made it to the end zone. Look at the little bobble right there.
Boy, did you see the Lions go for that? They didn't expect anything like that, and Jimmy Williams just got his hands on him, kind of tripped him up and forced him to go wide, and he eventually went out of bounds. Now the Bears are down to what? The 4.5-yard line, 50 seconds left in the game. First down.
First and goal. So Fuller got himself to the marker, 50 seconds on the clock. First and goal. The Lions, remember, have lost 4 games by a total of 11 points. They've been in these cliffhangers, and they've gone against them. They lead by a point. Goig and Martin Moss are in defensively in this goal line defense. Fuller to Peyton. Peyton got only a yard as the Lions rise up and try to pull them back.
Well, the Bears call timeout.
Back in the first half, the Lions stopped the Bears on 3 consecutive downs before they finally scored from about the 1- and 2-yard line on that series.
There's the lonely man, Bob Thomas. The Bears did not call a timeout. The officials just stopped the clock until they could untangle the ball. It's Bob Thomas there. It's going to be if they don't score, he's going to have a chip shot field goal, and sometimes those are the toughest to make. You never know.
Second and goal from the 4. 3 tight ends for the Bears to block. Suey to the 2-yard line. Lions trying to steal that football. Gary Cobb, number 53, making the effort, but play has been whistled dead. Cobb may feel that he's got possession of it, but the officials are going to leave it Chicago ball. Now the Bears call timeout.
He's on the right hash mark. The ball is on the right hash mark.
5 seconds on the clock.
That is Chicago's second.
The ball is at the 2-yard line of scrimmage. On comes Bob Thomas.
Didn't Eddie Murray miss one like this?
Yes, he did. Line of scrimmage was at the 5. In that case, in that situation for Murray, I would think the nervous man here is not Thomas, but rather Baschnagel.
You've got a good point there.
Baschnagel has dropped the ball on 2 of the 4 occasions they've attempted field goals. One of them might have been a fake field goal attempt. The second one clearly was not.
He does not have his gloves on. He's barehanded now.
He's been practicing on the sideline without the gloves.
Notice how they huddled away from Bob Thomas and left him alone.
It'll be a 20-yard field goal attempt. Thomas from 20 yards out. Baschnagel with a perfect hold. The Bears 16, the Lions 14. 2 seconds remain.
We'll take a second look at it. It looked like the Lions had some pretty good penetration, but we'll look at the reaction of Bob Thomas after he kicks the ball. But the Lions got pretty good penetration up the middle, but there were no problems otherwise. And Bob Thomas and Brian Baschnagel tell you what it's all about. And did you notice Brian Baschnagel had his hands on his head? He said, "Thank God I didn't drop the ball."
I bet they won't be drinking beer with their gloves on later. Baschnagel, a happy man in that situation, as the Bears would appear to have locked up the victory here in their 8th win of the season. The Lions, barring a miracle return on the kickoff, would be 3-8-1 and eliminated. Last year's defending champions in the Central Division, falling on hard times, hard luck this year. And leading in this game, taking the lead in the 3rd quarter with an impressive drive. Gary Danielson doing the job offensively. And then having this development, a field goal with 5 seconds when play began. 2 seconds remaining now.
Now, do you think they'll kick down, give them a chance to return it, or do you think they'll squib it? There's 2 seconds left. The clock does not start until the ball is fielded.
I would say deep. A long way to get upfield. Well, they squib it, and it is handled by a lineman who flips it back, and they keep flipping it back right to a Bear. Into the end zone, Donald Jordan. And we'll see what they rule here. Donald Jordan picked up the muffed play. Barry Seaman, the referee, it's all academic. There are zeros across.
Pass cannot be advanced. The game is over.
Can't be advanced. The Bears have won the game. So a wild and woolly finish with Bob Thomas kicking officially a 19-yard field goal to give the Bears a 16-14 game. And rookie Donald Jordan happy to have the ball in his hands at the game's end, touchdown or not. So the Chicago Bears in command in the NFC Central with their 8th win against 4 defeats. Green Bay, an apparent winner today against the Rams, we don't have a final on that yet, would move to 5-7. Monty Clark and his Lions have fallen to 3-8-1 and are eliminated from any playoff activity. Well, we'll see what happens on that kickoff with 2 seconds remaining. The Bears did go to the squib, as you speculated, Johnny.
And the Lions tried a little rugby-style football here.
It looks like Rubik, I think.
Yeah, he laterals back, and there's a bad lateral coming up here by number 36.
And that is Mike Mead, the reserve fullback. I think he tried to get it to Daddio, and it came right to Donald Jordan, who did a good job of picking up the bouncing ball.
And the defense cannot advance a muff. They can recover, but it was academic at this point.
Donald Jordan took it to the end zone. It felt good anyway, but he doesn't get a touchdown. The Bears, however, get a victory. And so the Chicago Bears coming back with a 3rd field goal by Bob Thomas from 19 yards away, providing the winning points. The Bears 16 and Detroit 14. Stay with us. We'll have scores and highlights on the NFL Today.